All right. It's February 2nd, Monday. We're going to do a little tier ranking of all the games that I played in January 2026. I've never made one of these before. Have I? I don't think I have. This is reflective of games that I played on Board Game Arena, on the road when I was in Texas, here at home, and in Texas that was Dallas area, and Houston with my family. So I didn't get quite as many games played this month as I think I normally would. I was in Devon, UK for Christmas on the Clock Tower. Not going to count any of the Clock Tower games. At some point, maybe I should. I never logged Blood on the Clock Tower into my BG Stats app. It just feels like a different thing. I think I have played now on the official app. I've played like 250 games and story told like 175 or something like that. So probably my total Clock Tower games is more like 500, I'd say, including in person and all that. And also, actually, I don't know how long those stats were kept. Anyway, Clock Tower is not part of this calculation. So let's just go through it. At Nina's house, if you look on the channel, we have Nina's house tour, which is by far the most popular video on this channel. So I guess this channel should just become a Nina and James board gaming channel, since a lot of people were like, hey, do they have a channel? Okay. So at their place, I played Blood Rage. And I'm going to put Blood Rage as an A tier, I think. I really enjoyed this game to the point that I did just back Blood Rage Valhalla, which is the new game that's coming out this summer. That Kickstarter or GameFound, I think that GameFound is still available. So if you want to back that, you can. For me, I mean, I was very tempted to, like, I'd love to get Blood Rage Valhalla and Blood Rage and the expansions and all that. I ended up just getting Blood Rage Valhalla and one of the expansions. I didn't get the upgrade, the miniatures upgrade, because I have so many games with miniatures that I have not painted, and I don't know how to paint them, and I have friends who are like, I'll paint them for you, but I personally don't necessarily care if I get super duper miniatures. It would be nice to get the whole Blood Rage collection. On that GameFound, getting the whole collection is like $350 or something like that, which I think might be a little extreme for a game that I've played once. And I feel like later on I can probably get a copy of original Blood Rage if I want to, so I don't necessarily need to add that on. But if you're somebody that wanted to dive into the entire Blood Rage universe, or like it's hard to get a copy of Blood Rage right now, maybe that is the way to go. But I'm going to try Valhalla, and if I don't like it, I'll give it away or sell it or something like that. But yeah, Blood Rage is a... you put people... I don't think... Is this a troops on a map game? I guess it is. It is troops on a map. I actually don't really know what a troops on a map game is. This had troops on a map. And sort of reminded me of Old King's Crown in a way. But basically, you're just battling other people for areas on a map. Winning those areas helps improve your stats in terms of, like, there's a rage stat, which tells you how many actions you can take per round. There's I think glory, I forget what that is, like horns or something, that when you win a battle, you get more victory points, and there's a thing for how many troops you can have on the board at once. So it's sort of engine building plus battling other people, and then you've got a bunch of little cards that are like your combat cards, and those are really sort of like a fun and surprising part of the game. I think it's interesting because that game has a pick and pass sort of draft of the cards at the beginning of each epoch, and sort of prepared me for another game that the next game on our list. But so you do have a sense of what other people have in their cards, but like, okay, I played with me, Steve, Neutral Steve, and James I think destroyed us, and there was a familiarity that James had of the cards that were available. I suppose that would be a huge help. But actually, on my first play of it, it felt kind of like, this feels like a fun, chaotic, random game where somebody might just have a card that just ruins all your plans. So I don't know. It didn't strike me as like a super deep game. But I don't know if that matters. Like, it has a lot of style and panache, and I like the theme, and it was just fun to kind of like kill people. And then there's a mechanic where you try to die in glory, and then you get points sometimes for going to Valhalla to Ragnarok at the end of Ragnarok. And I had a monster that I had summoned that was basically each epoch, I think, there's an area of the map that gets destroyed, and my monster's ability was like, no matter the area that would get destroyed was the area that he was in. So basically people like scrambling to get into the same area as this like mountain lion, because then those would all die and you'd get glory points for it and stuff like that. I thought there was a lot of like fun little moving parts of this, and I didn't take it too seriously. I can't imagine this is a game you are meant to take super seriously. It feels very over the top, like a Frank Frazetta painting. Like Frank Frazetta paintings, we're not meant to take those really seriously, are we? Anyway, so Blood Rage, I'll give it an A. A, certainly good enough for me to back the crowdfund for the next version of it. So that pick and pass draft style did prepare me to play the second game, which is on this list, which is Terraforming Mars. And this has to be an S tier game because I've played it, like, this by far is the most played game for me this month. I've played the solo one on Board Game Arena and Steam. I've played a live, like a in-person, real-time Steam version with my friends Brian and Jeff who destroyed us. He had already he had funded awards, he had claimed milestones, and I just looked up and I was like, oh, he's so many points ahead already. But also, Calb from the Discord, me, Calb, and Beardy are currently playing a turn-by-turn game on BGA, and I actually thought Beardy was winning, and then I thought I was in okay shape, and then Beardy passed and I passed. This is like generation 11, and Calb just did it was crazy how many moves he did, because you keep going till you pass, right? And Beardy and I just passed and we're like, we're done with this generation. I think generation 10. And then Calb did a series of, I want to say, like 18 actions in a row, like 9 turns by themselves. And so I'm pretty sure Calb's going to win this game. Anyway, Terraforming Mars, if you haven't played it, I know it's a thing that looms in the hobby, right? This is one of those things like Wingspan or, Agricola, or, these classic games that people feel like these are sort of the tentpoles. Terraforming Mars certainly is one of those things. And the funny thing is, I'm not even sure if I like this game that much, but it is so Moorish of wanting to play it more, like wanting to figure out the next time what you're going to do with the engine. In my opinion, more than Wingspan. It's not a similar game, but it is a similar thing of like, here's a bunch of cards. Can you interact with these cards in a way that is the most efficient or the best? Like, there is a board to Terraforming Mars, but it seems mostly about what cards you get. And knowing what the cards are. For example, there's entire swaths of the game mechanic that I have not engaged with. I have not engaged with animals, microbes, like soldiers or whatever. I don't really do that much with like science tags and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure this is how Calb did that in Crazy Turn or set of turns, right? Okay, so if you don't know Terraforming Mars, basically everybody's competing as corporations to terraform the surface of Mars, and that is by either raising the oxygen level with greenery or raising the temperature, I guess, with asteroids. Okay. Or creating oceans with aquifers or other, there's other ways to do all these things. And these all have little tracks and timers. And when all 3 of the tracks hit the top of the thing, when they're all done, when you've made 9 oceans and you've brought the temperature up to plus 8 degrees Celsius and you've brought the oxygen level up to, I think, 14%, then the game ends and you count up points and there's end game things and stuff like that. But it's mostly, there is a degree where you're sort of interacting with each other, but not much. You can like steal resources from each other. It seems very minor, the amount of like plants and resources that you can steal from each other. So it's mostly like 80, it feels like right now 80, and take all this with a grain of salt, because I've played this in person now 3 times. I've played it online real time like 3 times. I've played a bunch of turn by like solo of it. We've won the solo game 3 times so far. So I've played it a lot, but I mean, obviously I'm a noob when it comes to this game. So I'm just telling you that it feels like actually like not the most directly competitive with each other. It's more like seems like a competition of like, you got dealt this hand of cards, you get these random set of cards over time. Who's the best able to like use their knowledge of the potentials of this game and make smart decisions, which I know that I'm not good at, in terms of, hey, it's generation 3. You could spend 30 mega credits to get this thing that gets you +1 plants, +2 energy. Can you calculate in your head how quickly that will pay for itself in terms of resources gained later versus the 30 mega credits you're about to spend? Compare that to what's the progress other players are making in terms of how strong are their engines. So that obviously is like sort of like meta level stuff that I don't understand because I don't know the game well enough. I know that those microbes are probably important, but I can see lots of things about Terraforming Mars that somebody wouldn't like. It's a pretty dry game. It is pretty much like moving spreadsheet parts around. I think, though, there's something about the way it flows and the way you almost always feel like you could have done something better or different that has made me play it so much this month. And so for that, that is sort of what I've been trying to get at with these games, which is that other quality of games that like makes them good that's separate from me telling you what the mechanics are. Speaking of mechanics, Splitter. Splitter is a roll and write that's on BGA. I think I played this because it's part of the Board Game Awards. It's nominated. I can't remember why I played this. I didn't like it. It's fine. It's a functional game. You roll dice and then you've got to like put them onto a grid. And because it's called Splitter because you have to put them sort of like on both. It's like there's like a mirror down this grid and you have to sort of put them on both sides. And in the same position. So if you like put one die in the second row all the way on the right, you have to put the other one all the way on the left. Yeah, it was fine. As functional as a game this month compared to other ones is a D. Next, over at Nina and James, the first game of the day we played actually was Raw, and I'm going to put this S tier above Terraforming Mars because this game was fun. I somehow have 3 copies of it at my house now. I have a Pharaoh edition and then 2 sealed regular ones, one of which I just sold yesterday to someone on Facebook. This is an auction game. This is just super fun. It's basically just a dressed up press your luck game. You pull tiles from a bag and you try to... It's like pulling tiles from a bag plus bidding with each other. And you're trying to essentially collect tiles to earn points on this little player board that you have. But really the fun part is like seeing how many times you can pull tiles from this bag without triggering raw. Whenever you pull the raw token, an auction is immediately started. Because you want the set of tiles that you're bidding for to be like worth it, right? And also anybody can call for an auction early if they want to by just invoking raw. And the back and forth was really, really fun. Like it's impossible. I can't describe to you I can describe to you the mechanics, but like they interact in a way that even when you don't have good things to bid with, it always felt like you had an option. And then I also got stuck. I think me and Steve both got stuck where it gets to a point where if you pull the raw token one more time, that round is just over. I think that's an era. That era is just over. And nobody gets to like bid on the things, and we're sort of like pressing our luck, like how many tiles can we get out there to try to make it a nice auction, and then one of us pulled raw and neither of us got anything. Maybe we should do a 3-era tournament, which is like we play an era of raw, then we play an epoch of blood rage, and then we find another game that's split into 3. We'll play, you know what? We'll play 3 chapters. I'll say that next. And you just go back and forth through all the games. Anyway, raw is a great game. Just a really fun, like not too hard to learn. The hardest thing to learn, I think, about it was understanding how the tiles collect and how they score points. But the actual mechanism of like, here's a big bag of tiles, pull one out. If it's red, that's bad. I thought that was really fun. I'll definitely play that again. I brought this up because this is a 3 era game as well. 3 chapters. I'm going to put this in the somewhere between B and C. I'm going to be a little stern and put it in the C tier. 3 chapters is a card game where there's 3 modes. The first mode is also a pick and pass draft. This is the month of pick and pass draft. Drafting cards into your hand out of a set of, I think, 7 or 8 cards. That's the first chapter. Second chapter is putting the cards down in a trick-taking type mode. Whoever has the highest card wins. The third chapter is comparing all the cards that you picked in the original draft and scoring points. Now, the thing is that they each have different abilities, the cards, and they interact with each other in certain ways. And so you can score points in chapter 2 and 3. In chapter 2, you score points by the cards that go down in the trick, the 4 cards or however many players are playing. And then in chapter 3, you score cards by what you originally drafted in chapter 1. It's okay. It feels very, very random and difficult to get your head around in terms of actually like doing some effective strategy. Also, I don't like playing a trick-taking phase, chapter 2. You play the cards down, whoever has the highest card wins, and then you don't take the trick. Because everybody has to keep their original cards for chapter 3, right? I find that really an unsatisfying game flow. Playing cards down into a trick-taking, and then instead of taking those 4 cards that you just won, everybody just takes back the card that they played. And so there are some cards that score points in a certain way in chapter 2 and then score again in chapter 3. For example, I will say this is a very nice element of it, which is you just tell people when you're playing it, just pick characters that go together in fairy tales, because all the characters are fairy tales. So if you draft in chapter 1 Snow White, you can score a lot of points if you draft a bunch of other dwarves. And then what happens is if those dwarves go down together, like Beauty and the Beast are 2 cards. If you draft both those cards, you can't get them together in chapter 2 because you have to play only 1 card. So you can't possibly get Beauty and Beast to be in the same trick in chapter 2. But because you drafted both of them in chapter 1, you get to score them together in chapter 3, if that makes sense. Now, if you only draft Beauty or Beast, then you're hoping somebody puts the other one down in the trick in chapter 2 and putting it down. Anyway, it's a very pleasant game. I specifically bought 2 copies of it in the UK because the UK version has very nice wooden tokens and the American version only has poopy cardboard. So I bought, it's 2 different publishers. One is Amigo here in the US, which I think is out of business. So I bought 2 copies in the UK and gave one to my niece in Houston. It's a fun game. I just think there are some games where the decisions aren't that interesting. In a way, the most of the interesting decisions are in chapter 1. But it just kind of feels sort of random. But the art's really nice. The production's really nice. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at C because I think it's a game. The thing that makes me want to put it in B is that it's a game that is. I'm motivated to like introduce people to it because it is fun. It's really pretty. It's really easy to understand. But for me personally, it's going to go into C because it's like not a game that I would particularly play on my own. Next is a game I truly enjoy. I am going to put this in S tier. This is Order Overload. Actually, I'm going to put it in top of A tier because I love it. It's a somewhat hard game to get people to play. Order Overload is a memory game. And it's a straight up memory game. There's not a lot of mechanics except here's a list of coffee orders. Let's try to remember them as a group. It's cooperative. I really enjoy it. I like the challenge of trying, like every time I try to make a little memory palace and, I try to use a location in my mind that I'm very familiar with. And then I try to populate that with images that help me remember what the orders are. So one of the orders is espresso, and now I always think about Sabrina Carpenter singing. Whatever location I'm walking through, I put Sabrina Carpenter there, and if espresso comes up twice, there's 2 Sabrina Carpenters, etc., etc. The reason it's an A game instead of an S game is just some people hate this game. So it's a really unpleasant game for some people. So it just can't be S tier because there's some people that are just like, I did not enjoy that. I did not like trying to rack my brain. I didn't like the feeling it gave me. Sort of like that game Anomia. I recognize that's a fun game, but like I don't like the way I feel when I play Anomia. So it will go here. I always try to get people to play this. but not everybody likes it. Next is a game that I think probably everybody might like, and I'll put it right here. Subjective. This is a really simple. This is one of those mass market games that's like, this is such a cool, simple idea. It's got a nice tweak to it, and it's surprising that nobody else has thought of this before. This is a game where you've got, I think, 12 or so different categories of a way to describe something. So, for example, it'll be like movies, television, historical figures, famous people, inventions and tools, food and drink, sort of categories, right? And then you will draw a card and pick I think it's always a noun. And it'll be like, recreation. And so the words on your card might be like hiking, swimming, playing basketball, that kind of stuff. And then you pick one, and then you take the card that the category goes for, which is, like, let's say it was playing basketball, and I take the recreation card, and on the back of it with my little marker, I write playing basketball. And then we're all going to try to get one person to guess playing basketball. So the way you do that is you write clues on all the other little category cards. So if it's famous person, maybe I write Michael Jordan. And then everybody grabs one or two of these things, writes a clue on the back, puts them face down. And then one person is trying to guess. That person pulls the, each category card. They look at one, and let's say for movies, I pull movies and it says Space Jam. Then I go, oh, the recreation is basketball. And we go, yay, we each score a point, me and the person who wrote down Space Jam. So you're actually trying to get them to guess the thing. You're not trying to stump them in any way. But now I know it's basketball. I know that the movie is Space Jam. And then I look at all the other categories, and now I'm going to try to score points by trying to guess what clue you put down under those other categories. So if I look at famous person, I guess Michael Jordan, we turn it over, I get a point, the person who wrote that gets a point. But then there are some things like somebody wrote down tools and inventions for playing basketball, and I think, what could that be? And maybe I guess that it's like high top sneakers, and they put that it was like hardwood floors or something, and then you're like, oh no, that's not what I thought. That little extra twist of once you get the answer, you're also trying to get the clues that other people laid down is really fun. Eric and I played it. It's not really meant for 2 players, but we just played a 2-player version of it where we would take a card, write the clue down, and we would like, if he's guessing and I'm writing clues, I just write 6 other clues down on the category cards, and it was really, really fun. The moments when you go really far afield and happen to arrive on the same guess, those are really, really fun. Also, this is one of those games like Monikers where I'm like, you don't really need these cards with the nouns. You could just be like television show and just think of a television show. But I guess it is funny how most of the weight of that box is these set of cards. That's like, okay, it's just a list of things. But I guess you could say that about Monikers or Insider or anything else. Anyway, I think that I'm really looking forward to trying to play this with like 4 or 5 people. I think it's very fun. Okay. Next is That's Pretty Clever, or Ganz schon clever, a German game that is a roll and write. It has a pretty neat mechanism for including everybody around the table. In other words, when it's not your turn to roll, you still get to fill in things. It's one of those things that has a grid and you fill it in. And I'm going to make this an A. I enjoyed this very much. I played solo. And I think last month I was talking about how I enjoyed the game Locus. And I played this game and I was like, oh, Locus is a flip and write version of this game, which is much older. Locus just came out. Like, if you see Locus, you'd be like, oh, this game is clearly what motivated Locus. Anyway, this is you roll dice, and there's 6 different colored dice, and you have to basically draft dice that you roll into your board and write down the number on different areas of your score sheet, and there's different rules depending on which color die you picked. And then the other players, the passive players, get to pick dice that you didn't pick, essentially. What's neat, there's a couple neat things about it. One is when you roll the dice, whichever die you draft, you have to get rid of the other dice that are lower than it. So like there's a lot of regions on the score sheet where it'd be great to have a 6. But if you roll all 6 dice and you get a 6 in the category you want, you can't really pull that 6. Because if you pull the 6, you're having to remove all the other dice and you don't get, like if you don't have dice to roll for the second and third rolls, you're not going to have a chance to, like you'll just be, there's no reason to do that. You would want to take dice for each. I keep saying dice in a weird way. Dice in every, like you want to take 3 dice if you can. But it's a really interesting thing because sometimes you don't want to, if you take the blue 1 that you rolled, great, but it's not that useful, but you're not eliminating as many dice from the future rolls. So that's a really neat mechanism. I really like that. And then it's got a nice little solo mode. I will say, I completely misread the rules of the solo mode. And my first 2 solo games, I scored like 300 and 340 points. And I was like, man, this game's easy. Like, I'm so far ahead of the chart. And then I learned the real rules. You can play this online if you want to check it out. It's not on BGA. It's on, like, some... Just look up this game on... It's got its own link. Maybe I'll put it in the description. Yes, when I learned the actual rules, I scored about 140 points. Shallow Sea, I will still play. I'm going to put this at a B for right now. It might go up. This is... I made a quick little video about it. I did enjoy it. I want to try this with some other people. I played solo, and yeah, I'm leaving it here for now. I think this could go up to an A if it's like, if Eric likes it, if we play it more. It's a very chill game. I think this might be an easier game to get people to play than like Wingspan. I know Wingspan is like elementary to all of you, but it's not to a lot of people. Agent Avenue. This is on BGA. I highly recommend checking this out. I'm gonna put this at you know what? If I'm gonna put this at B, I'm gonna put That's Pretty Clever at B too. This is well worth playing on BGA. This is a very fun little, what's it called? I pick, I split, you choose kind of thing. Basically, it's a 2-player game. You're trying to chase each other around this very small loop, which is theoretically like the neighborhood you live in. And one of you is a spy. I don't know the story. And every card you put down has a little number that says like you move forward this many spaces. So what you do on your turn is you put a card face down and a card face up. And then the other person picks one of those 2 cards and then you get the other. The trick of it is that some of the cards move forward, some of them move backwards, which is obviously not good. There's a card that if you collect 3 of them, you instantly win. There's a card that if you collect 3 of them, you instantly lose. There are some cards that like the first time you take that card, you don't move at all. But if you collect a second one of those cards, you move 2 spaces. If you collect a third one of those, you move 6. And then every card of that type you get from then on, you're going to move 6 every single time. There's a card that you move -1 the first time. And then if you have 2, you move 6. And then 3, you move -1 again. It's kind of annoying. So there's a constant like bluffing and interplay of, I'm showing you this card. Is this the card I want to take? Or is the face down card the one I want to take? For example, I'm showing you a negative card. I'm showing you a card that only goes -1, -1, or -2, depending on how many of it you have. The face down card, is the face down card better or worse than that? I think that's something interesting. Oh, I've turned on the, now I've turned on the face tracking. Enjoy. Let's turn that off. I got this new camera that does weird things when you hold up your hands. Okay. Check it out on BGA first. I think this is one of those games, like I do have a physical copy of it, but it's not hurt too much by playing it on BGA. And it takes like 5-10 minutes. Enjoyable game. Next is Parks. I got the nice version of Parks. And then I ordered it from a website and they sent me the regular version of Parks. And I said, you sent me the wrong version. I want the nice version. And they said, we're sending you the nice version now. You can keep the regular version. So I have a regular version of Parks that I'll probably put on eBay or something like that. I kind of want to do an auction from the channel of like games that I have and like send all the money to like a charity, maybe to like Minneapolis or something like that. Okay, Parks. I got to play twice solo and then twice online on BGA solo. It's an intriguing game. I would like to play it more. I'm for now going to put it at the bottom of the B tier because I also went 3 weeks without thinking about it. So it can't be that great a game. Parks is a game where you're walking in a park. No, you're walking through national parks. That part is great. I have seen the old version. I think this version is very pretty. I love the national parks. I love those posters. I think I need to play this more to try to figure out like what is it about this that people like. Actually, the way I'm talking about, I think I have to put it in the C tier because my question is, why do people like this? And I know people like it. People love it. So I will play it again. But for right now, it's in the C tier. Innovation, as you know, is my number one game of 2025. I'm going to have to demote this now. I'm going to demote it to the bottom of the A tier because I still think this is a tremendous game. I think that there are a couple of cards in this game that make the game very unfun. If you know Innovation, specifically the cards Clothing and Mathematics, specifically Mathematics, I think is a very unfun card for the game. So I mean, I almost would go so far as to like take the card out of the game maybe when I play it. Yeah, Innovation is a tech tree game. You both have cards. You're trying to like go up a tech tree, blah, blah, blah. The thing about the Mathematics card is that it has a mechanic that lets you ascend into higher levels of technology, pretty much independent from the other player. And for me, the games that I've played, when I've had the Mathematics card or not had it, it creates a dynamic where you and the other player are particularly disconnected from each other, where I am just trying to ascend to get better technology, hoping that the Mathematics card doesn't get covered up. And it's kind of like I don't really care what you're doing, and it's not like a Wingspan game where it's okay to not care. Innovation is very much a you care what the other person is doing. But in the games that I've had where mathematics has been a big factor, whether you win or lose with it, it's like I'm trying to drive my car off the cliff and see what happens, and there's not that much you can do about it. And so it almost, this is an overstatement, but it almost kind of ruins the vibe of whatever match you're in with it, because it's like, okay, you pulled mathematics, I know what you're going to do. I have an option of trying to win now, which is I'm going to try to score a bunch of points before you can get to a certain level of technology and end the game. But it's not one of those things where the two approaches, like somebody with the mathematics card and somebody trying to score points, they feel sort of like, this is the thing I can do to mitigate your card, but it's not really that fun. That's been my experience. Anytime people complain about the mathematics card in Innovation, people are like, well, you obviously didn't do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, yeah, I know. But like, even when you do that, sometimes you lose. And I think for a game as wonderful as Innovation is, I think there's too many times in that game where people just say like, well, that's just the way it goes. Sometimes it just sucks. And I think that is a sign that game is going to get you angry, which it does. So yeah, it was my game of the year last year because I played it so much and I was teaching it to so many people. I am putting it down to an A tier at the moment. Up and Down, I played on BGA. I enjoyed this game. I'm going to put the top of the C. That doesn't mean it's a bad game. Oh, or can I? There we go. This is a game where you are trying to arrange cards in a ascending or descending order, depending on which sort of elevator you're creating with them. There's a lot of games about elevators. Look, I got one right here. Sashi and Sashi in front of the elevators. It's fine. I enjoyed it on BGA as sort of a time killer. I think I'd probably play Agent Avenue, and it's a little longer than Agent Avenue for one of those time killer games. I just I didn't see right now because I didn't get a physical copy of this, and I think it might be physically very fiddly to play and sort of take up more space than it should. And I'll try it. Maybe I'll promote it if it's really fun in person. But it's an okay game. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, nothing to write home about. Next, we have a Carnivore Did It. I'm going to put this in the B tier as well. And this was a game I was really intrigued by. I have played it with 4 different sets of people now, and everybody seems to enjoy it. But it's a little dry. It is very much a logic puzzle. Like, it's only a logic puzzle. It is like you deal out 3 to 7 animals in a circle, and then you deal out statements that they make based on this little key that tells you what configuration to do. And there's like 2,000 puzzles in it. So that's great. It's a great value. If you like the way this game goes, you should buy this game because you're going to get 2,000 puzzles out of it. And the puzzles will be like, the panther says, I did it. I'm the criminal. And then someone else says, the panther is lying. And then someone else says, the criminal is shorter than 154 centimeters. And then in the key, it'll say like there's one lie amongst the 3. And then you kind of figure out like, you know, well, if they're lying, that means this has to be true, X, Y, and Z. And then you look in the key and you're like, I think this person did it. I have 2 little genuine problems with this. One is I found the answer key to be really hard to read. That's why I was asking young people to look at the answers whenever I could. Production-wise, I found the answer really, really hard to decipher sometimes. The second thing is that I felt that the difficulty ramp up from puzzles where there was 1 lie to 1 or 2 lies, like it jumped up really hard. Like when it's only 1 lie, you can just systematically go through everybody and be like, okay, if this was the criminal, if this is the culprit, then this is true, blah, blah. And as soon as you get to 2 lies, you know, you're like, okay, well, that can't be the culprit then. It's a similar difficulty ramp up to in Sudoku. Beginner Sudokus are generally pretty straightforward. There'll be a grid where it's like, it has to be this number because these other possibilities have all been eliminated. And then there's a point in Sudoku where you get to, there's not a single square on this grid that has to be anything. So now I'm going to have to hold a couple possibilities in my mind of if that was a 7, and then you have to go more than 1 or 2 or 3 steps to eventually get to step 6, which then makes it all impossible. You reverse engineer what's going on, and then so I'm not saying that's a cool puzzle, but the ramp up from simple deduction to these sort of like floating possibilities in your mind is similar to how I felt in Carnivore Did It. So I thought that was hard. I have a copy. I gave my copy to my niece, but I bought an extra copy, and so I'll keep playing it. I do want to potentially use this as a clock tower warm up. I think I said this before, the next time I do one of these content shoots, I'm going to play some Carnivore Did It ahead of time, just so I can hold some puzzle worlds in my mind a little longer. Very cool game, very good value, pretty cheap game with a bunch of puzzles. If you like it, you will definitely get your money's worth. For me, a little bit... It's funny that I don't like this game as much as I like Order Overload, because they're both just like brain-burning exercises. But I think Order Overload has a social element that it's like Carnivore Did It. If you play it as a group, you just all try to figure it out together. There's not a game around that part of it. Whereas Order Overload has the fun of like, hey, somebody already said iced lemon tea or whatever. Why'd you say that? And finally, let's go for Facin, which I'm going to put in the S tier. I'm going to put it above Terraforming Mars. I want to thank Jake and Brittany and Nash, who introduced me to this game. This is really, really fun. It is a social deduction game that lasts about 5 to 10 minutes, and it has much of the joy of the last day of Clock Tower without all those annoying first 7 days or however long it takes. In Facin, it's very simple. You get 3 cards, and the 3 cards are either Winter Court or Summer Court. And you can tell very clearly which ones they are. And you can see what other people's court cards are from the backs of them, because they're colored very differently. And then based on what the numbers are on the cards, the numbers go from 1 to 10, and then Jack through Ace, Ace being the highest. Whichever is your highest card, you are a member of that court. So if you have the Ace of Summer, you are in the Summer Court. If you have the Ace of Summer and the Ace of Winter, the third card that you have, whatever the suit is, breaks the tie. And so you are potentially the heir for the Winter or Summer Courts. And so the goal of the game is there's a dagger in the middle and there's a crown in the middle, these two cards. And at some point, you're going to touch the two cards and say, I want to assassinate Nash and I want to crown Brittany. Because what I want to do is I want to assassinate the heir of the opposite court that I'm in, and I want to crown the heir of my court. So if I have like the 9 of Summer and I'm the Summer Court, I want to crown whoever in the circle I think is the highest Summer Court holder, and whoever is the highest Winter Court holder, I want to assassinate them. So, and by the way, this often came up a lot, which is if I have the Ace of Summer and the King of Winter, I'm not the heir of the Winter Court, so I'm not the one to be assassinated. Like, if you're not in the court, it's like your cards don't exist. So someone could be the heir of Winter with like an 8, if they're the highest one that belongs to the Winter Court. So that's it. Like, we touch these cards, we try to kill the enemy and crown our leader. Now the main question is, how do I learn about other people? And the way you do it is you go through these duels. So if it's my turn, I'll take one of my 3 cards, put them face down and say, give it to Jake on the table. He chooses a card and gives me a card. We both look at each other's cards, sort of like Baron in Love Letter. Whoever has the lower, we return the cards. Whoever's the lower card turns the card face over, puts it on the table, and it's got like a little, you point it at the person that you traded with, and it's got a little thing indicating what suit their card was. So if I turn over like a 4 of Summer and it's got the like little Winter end pointing at Jake, that means the card that I saw him have is a Winter card that is higher than a 4. If the numbers tie, you don't show anything. So now I've only got 2 cards in my hand. And so as we go around the circle, people start putting information down onto the table. And eventually, at any point, somebody can just touch the dagger and the crown in the middle and declare that we're going to the end phase, which is I'm going to put the dagger down and the crown down. And then we've got a brief moment of discussion where I say, okay, Nash, I know we're on the same court. Do you think that Jake has the Queen of Winter and that Jake is the heir for Winter Court? Or do we think it's Brittany? And then everybody gets to bluff and say, like, I'm not in the Winter Court. I'm in the Summer. This card is an ace. The card that you guys haven't seen is an ace. You need to give me the crown. And there's a bit of fun bluffing there. And then eventually you reveal and you either win or lose. Very easy game to teach. Very fun little thorny social deduction. Tension as cards go down and you're like, I need to get to the answer before somebody else does. Tension in the bluffing stage of you and I are on the same team. You cannot kill me. We are on the same team. And then it turns out we're not. It's condensed a lot of the fun things about social deduction into like a 10-minute round. And then you just play a bunch of rounds. So, yeah, it'll solidly go up here in the S tier. Okay, so that's all the games I played in January 2026. If you want, you can make a top 10 out of this. Number 1, Raw. Number 2, Facin. Number 3, Terraforming Mars. Number 4, Order Overload. Number 5, Subjective. Number 6, Blood Rage. Number 7, Innovation. Number 8, Agent Avenue. Number 9, That's Pretty Clever. And number 10, Shallow Sea. I will stand by that top 10 list. These might go up and down, but that's what I got from this month. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this. I'll do another roundup in a little bit. We got some other fun content coming out very soon, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.